didn't really exist. This is more of like a man's or a human perception of what mer beings look like. Mer beings and mer creatures came in many different forms. So my particular, where I came from, and I am an Atlantic mer being. Atlantis was mostly between the east coast of the United States and Europe. That's where the landmass of Atlantis primarily existed. So I was an Atlantic mer being, and me and my family had the long tails, the very long fish tails, and the human upper body and torso, but our heads were more kind of fish-like. I remember this fish-like head with kind of these like big bulbous eyes and very, very long dark hair and breasts, and the skin being not scaly, but having kind of a texture, like a texture, and being very thick for the water, very thick and very insulated. We were not beautiful by human standards, but we think we are beautiful. And I had this very, very long hair, black hair that came down at least to my knees. And my sister there had more light hair, very long hair also. Mer beings, at least my mer lineage, we all carried our hair, all the women and some of the men too, carried our hair quite long. So those depictions that you see of the mer beings with the long hair, that really was a part of where we came from. But our skin and the way we looked overall was definitely more of kind of a fish-like. I remember my tail being gold and having some greens in it also, and being very, very iridescent. And I remember my skin not quite being, it wasn't like human colored skin, it was dark though. It was very dark skin, darker skin. And so, but some of the mer creatures that, we see these shows, these documentaries on the mer beings, and some of them look very, when they get the little videos of them in the water, look very kind of scary and prehistoric. And that, a lot of the mer creatures do look like that. They live and they swim in the very, very deep water. They don't come up to the sunlight or to the surface very often. They are deep water creatures. And so maybe less hair or bald, and these very thin, lithe bodies, and very fast, and just kind of very prehistoric looking. Is what many of the water creatures, the mer creatures, I guess, look like. Sometimes when I take people back into past life regressions, one of the things I do as a healer is I'm a past life regressionist. And that's where I recovered most of my memories of being from the mer world and being from Atlantis. So sometimes I'll take people into the water and they'll find themselves this creature that is like nothing that they would have ever imagined that they look like. And it's very difficult for them to accept that that's their mer body, because they expect that. And when they don't get that, it's kind of startling to them, because many of the water creatures just look kind of funny by human standards. But the mer creatures, they come in many different kinds of colors also, very color variations. And some of them even have, some of the colder water mer creatures, like up towards the Arctic, have fur, actually have like a seal type of fur on their skin. Some people might even call them selkies. And so there are many different varieties of water creatures. So if you feel that, you are one, if you would like some time to go into a regression and experience yourself as a mer creature, I can definitely take you there. But I just want to let you know that to be very open to what you might look like and what you might be doing, what your skin might be like, and what your tail might be like. So many of the mer creatures kind of have things coming down, tendrils, I think, coming down off their arms. And I remember webbed fingers too, webbed fingers. And, my feet in this life are kind of funny looking. I definitely have mer feet and mer toes that are left over from my kind of more prehistoric or ancient lineage of being a mer person. I also remember when I would come up out of the water that my legs, my lower body wasn't real strong. It was kind of a struggle to get into that body and to walk across the land and walk into the temples. And the more I did it, the stronger my legs become. But I couldn't stay out of the water for very long. It's like I would have to come up, and I remember coming up a lot at sunset. Coming up a lot when the moon was high, because that's when my body would have the most energy. That's when I could be the strongest. So I'd come up out of the water when the moon was higher, and stay in the temples, mostly working at night, which is really odd to me because in this life I am not a night person at all. And then when the moon would, when the sun would begin to rise, that's when my energy would start to wane, and I would leave and I would go back into the water. So I hope that this helps you out a little bit. I'm going to do, like I said, lots of videos on the mer people, on the mer world, on my twin flame in the mer realm, and what that meant, a little bit more about what that meant to be a mer creature in the time of Atlantis. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find me at amarabath.com. Please feel